Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. Wow, it was a long night last night. Drove up to Liverpool for the game. 0-0. Drove all the way home last night. It was a rough drive, right? Because the fog was so thick, right? We had to drive so slowly. It must have took about over 5 hours to get home. But you know what? It was all worth it because that was a really battling performance by Arsenal. All the fans there were very proud. Arsenal coming out of that game 0-0, despite being down to 10 men for over 3/4 of the game. It was a really, really good performance. And I just felt that, it was a real backs to the wall fighting performance. And those sort of performances make fans proud. And, we're still in the tie. We could have been out of that. We could have been completely out of that. And we're still in the tie with, you have to say advantage Arsenal now. We take it back to the Emirates on Thursday and a chance to get through to the final. However, Granit Xhaka again getting himself sent off in a big game. Not just the fact that he gets himself sent off, which I think, was it 5 or 6 times he's been sent off since he's been at Arsenal, which is ridiculous. Twice this season, both of them in big games. As a matter of fact, big moments he's cost us. Manchester City away, red cards. We were 1-0 down, ended up losing by 5 goals. Manchester City at home, we're dominating the game. He gives away a stupid penalty. And then last night in a semi-final, gets himself stupidly sent off. Granit Xhaka, I know he apologised, but how many more of these are we going to have to put up with at Arsenal? It's just simply not good enough. And Mikel Arteta must have been really angry at him, senior player. And not only that, we now have a midfield emergency. It's not just, crisis, emergency, whatever you want to call it, but it's an emergency. Will the game against Tottenham even go ahead on Sunday now that Arsenal have so many players out, particularly in the midfield area? I was running through some of the players that are going to be missing. Remember, Cedric went down injured in the game, off after about 5 minutes of the game. He's out. No Tomiyasu. No Xhaka, as we know. He not only is he going to miss the North London derby, he'll miss the second leg as well next week against Liverpool. Midfield short. No Odegaard in midfield. He was out. No Thomas Partey or El Neni. We know that they're at the African Cup of Nations. No Aubameyang. No Pepe. No Emil Smith-Rowe. It's really a crisis. And wow, is that game even going to take place on Sunday? Because Arsenal are down to the bare bones. And we know with these rules that they have in the Premier League, if you can't field, a proper team, you can apply to get the game cancelled. And I work out that it's got to be around about 12 players that are going to be missing. And we've really left ourselves short in that midfield area. What are we going to do to solve it? Could Arsenal try and get a deal done for Arthur Melo ASAP so that he's eligible to play in the North London derby? He seems to be the number one target, seems to be, out of all the targets, the easiest one to get done, and none of them are easy. Arsenal want him on loan from now until the end of the season. The player wants to come. He definitely wants to come on loan. But what about the club, Juventus? Juventus are saying to Arsenal, we need to find a replacement first, despite the fact that he's hardly played, before they let him go. And that is what is slowing up the deal. Now, it's no point in bringing in Arthur, right at the end of the transfer window, because you could bring in a player that then, again, comes to Arsenal and barely plays. We need him right now. You know what? Look what Juventus are doing. They're saying to Arsenal, we don't want to let him go yet until we find a replacement. It's the one thing, the big error that I think that Edu and Mikel Arteta have made this January is letting Ainsley Maitland-Niles go to Roma before they had brought in a replacement, because he could be playing in that midfield area. As a matter of fact, when he came in earlier on in the season and he played in that area, he did really, really well. But we let him go. And now we are so short. It's unbelievable. Look at that bench last night. There was nobody to bring on, really. It was just loads of young kids from the academy. So it's a really, really tough situation. Could they move for Wijnaldum? Georginio Wijnaldum, as we know, again, another possibility. Experience, I think, would be brilliant for Arsenal to get. Listen, for me, if Arsenal are looking to try and push for the top four, it makes perfect sense to try and get a player like this. Talk about he holds Arsenal dear to his heart. Used to be an Arsenal supporter as a kid, not getting hardly any playing time at all. At PSG, is a quality player. The World Cup is coming up. He wants to be playing football as well, but he is at PSG. And the chances of them letting him go, who knows what it is. Would they let him go out on loan? They're focusing, of course, on winning the league, which they should do pretty comfortably over there in France. But the most important thing for them is winning the Champions League. And they want to keep as much quality as possible there. But could Arsenal get Wijnaldum? And then the thing is, if you do get somebody like that, we need him now. This is an emergency, as I said. Emergency. We need a player like that right now. And can we get a player like that right now? And then some of the other players like Dennis Zakaria of, contract up in the summer, but we need him now. And can you get a deal like that done? So what midfield player can we get in time for, I feel, for the North London derby, but that's going to be probably impossible to do. Or if not, at least for that second leg. We got big games coming up. So it's a real crisis for Arsenal. Or could they turn to somebody closer to home? Jack Wilshere. Imagine Jack Wilshere coming in for the North London derby on Sunday. Could be done if they did it immediately. He's available. I've been listening to him recently on TalkSport. Imagine him running out for the North London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That would get the place pumped up. That would be brilliant. Obviously, we don't know what his fitness levels are like, and we know that he's been training with Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has been saying it, and I know that Mikel Arteta has said quite a few times recently that, listen, Jack Wilshere is just training. We have no interest in signing him, but this is an emergency, and we need to get somebody into that midfield area. And even if they did some sort of deal with a Jack Wilshere on a sort of pay-as-you-play basis, why not? If we got nobody else. I mean, young Charlie Patino, I guess, can step into the area, but do you really want such an inexperienced player going in to the North London derby? The North London derby this season, by the way, is bigger than normal as far as I'm concerned, because look at the two teams in the league. We're just above Tottenham. Tottenham win that game. They go above us with a game in hand. We win that game. We start to stretch out away from Tottenham. It's such an important game. Tottenham have got problems at the moment. I think Son's out, but they're not playing well. This is a chance really for Arsenal to go there and really try and grab those 3 points. But would you want to go there with a midfield of Sammy Lokonga, Charlie Patino, like what we had at Nottingham Forest? No disrespect to them, but they're kids. Maybe a Jack Wilshere wouldn't be the most far-fetched thing, but Mikel Arteta seemed to be quite resistant to that in recent weeks. So let's see what's happening. And Dusan Vlahovic, every day, it's Vlahovic watch again. Very interesting yesterday seeing that the Fiorentina president seems to be very, very upset with the players' agents. He did an interview for the Financial Times, and he was, being asked about the Vlahovic situation, and he made it quite clear he's very unhappy with what seems to be going on. Talk about how his agents are reportedly demanding £6.67 million just for him to renew his contract. That's what his agents are, demanding. And also they want 10% of any ongoing fee to sell him. So if, say, for instance, he got sold to Arsenal for, somebody suggesting 60 million, 70 million, they want 10% of that. They'd want, like, if they sold him for 60 million, they want 10% of that. I mean, wow. Crazy. So the saga rumbles on with Dusan Vlahovic. He's definitely going to be on the move. He hasn't signed a new deal, but where? You know, the president was talking about how they've been trying to get him to sign a new deal, but he hasn't signed it. But where is he heading? Is he heading to the Emirates, or is he waiting it out until the end of the season and moving on in the summer? Certainly, Arsenal have got a chance in this one, but it's going to be difficult. But what can we do in midfield? That is, thank you, Granny Xhaka. You've escalated this even more right now, giving Mikel Arteta even more headache. But let's see what happens. Thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV. And don't forget to like this video as well. And I will be back tomorrow.